The restaurant hummed with evening conversation as Claire Winters rushed through the door, still wearing her navy blue scrubs. She was 40 minutes late, and she knew exactly how bad that looked. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, a few strands escaping around her face. She hadn't even had time to change after her shift at Memorial Hospital. She spotted him immediately, the man her sister Hannah had been going on about for weeks. He sat alone at a corner table, checking his phone with the patient resignation of someone who'd been waiting a while. Dark hair, kind eyes, probably early 40s. He wore a casual gray button-down, clean and pressed, like someone who'd made an effort. Claire's heart sank. She looked like she'd just run a marathon through a disaster zone, which, in a way, she had. She approached the table, already forming an apology. "Hi, are you Ryan Foster?" He looked up, and his expression shifted from mild concern to something gentler when he saw her scrubs. "Claire, yes. I'm so sorry I'm late." She gestured helplessly at her uniform. "I'm sorry I wore my work uniform. I meant to go home and change first, but there was an emergency in the ER, and then another one, and I couldn't just leave, and by the time I looked at the clock..." She stopped herself, realizing she was rambling. "I'm sorry. I understand if you want to just call it a night. I wouldn't blame you." Ryan stood up, pulling out the chair across from him. "Please, sit down. You look exhausted." "That's putting it kindly," Claire said, sinking into the chair gratefully. Her feet ached. Everything ached. It had been a 12-hour shift that turned into 14, and she'd been on her feet the entire time. "Can I get you something to drink?" Ryan asked. "Wine? Water? Something stronger?" "Water would be amazing," Claire said. "I'm probably too tired for wine. I'd fall asleep in my soup." Ryan signaled the waiter and ordered water for her, then settled back in his seat. He wasn't looking at her with irritation or disappointment. He was looking at her with what seemed like genuine concern. "Rough day?" he asked. "You could say that." Claire rubbed her face, then remembered she probably had mascara smudges and dropped her hands. "We had a multi-car accident come in this afternoon. 3 critical patients at once. Then a kid who fell off a trampoline, a heart attack, and somewhere in there, a woman having a baby in the parking lot because she didn't make it to the maternity ward in time." "In the parking lot?" Ryan's eyebrows rose. "In the parking lot," Claire confirmed. "Healthy baby boy, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, mother and baby are both doing great. But it meant I was running between the ER and the parking lot, and then back to the ER and..." She trailed off. "I'm rambling again. I do that when I'm nervous and exhausted. It's not a good combination." "Don't apologize," Ryan said. "You helped bring a baby into the world today." "That's pretty incredible. I'm a nurse, not a midwife, but thank you." Claire accepted the water the waiter brought and drank half of it in one go. "Hannah told me you're a single dad. She said you have a son, Tyler. He's 8. Ryan pulled out his phone and showed her a photo of a grinning boy with dark hair and missing front teeth. "He's staying with my mom tonight." She insisted, said I needed a night out. "He's adorable," Claire said, and meant it. "How long have you been on your own with him?" 4 years. His mother and I divorced when he was 4. She moved to California for work, remarried. Tyler visits her in the summers, but mostly it's just us." "That must be hard," Claire said. "Being a single parent, it has its moments." Ryan smiled. "But he's a good kid. Smart, funny, resilient. He wants to be a paleontologist or a superhero, depending on what day you ask him." "Why not both?" Claire suggested. "A paleontologist who fights crime using dinosaur facts." Ryan laughed, a real laugh that reached his. "Eyes. I'll suggest it." He'd love that. The waiter returned, ready to take their order. Claire glanced at the menu, her tired brain struggling to make sense of the options. "Do you like pasta?" Ryan asked gently. "I love pasta." Then let me order for both of us, if that's okay. You look like you need to just sit for a minute and not make any more decisions." Claire felt tears prick her eyes at the kindness of it. "That would be wonderful. Thank you." Ryan ordered for them both, something with mushrooms and cream sauce that sounded amazing. After the waiter left, he leaned forward slightly. "Claire, I want you to know something. I'm not upset that you're late or that you're wearing scrubs. Actually, I think it's pretty great." "Great?" Claire couldn't hide her skepticism. "I look like a disaster." "You look like someone who spent 14 hours saving lives," Ryan corrected. "You look like someone who stayed late because people needed you, even though it meant missing the start of a date. You look like someone with priorities that matter. That's not a disaster, that's admirable." Claire felt her throat tighten. "Most guys don't see it that way. My ex-husband certainly didn't. He hated my schedule, hated that I'd come home exhausted, hated that I couldn't just leave work when my shift ended. He said I cared more about my patients than about him. Maybe he needed someone who could put him first all the time," Ryan said. "But not everyone needs that. Some of us understand that good people do important work, and that work doesn't always fit into neat boxes or convenient schedules." "Hannah said you'd understand," Claire said quietly. "She said you were one of the good ones. Hannah's your sister, right? She works at the elementary school with my sister Beth. That's how this whole thing got set up." "Beth Foster is your sister?" Claire brightened. "I've met her. She brought Tyler to the ER 6 months ago when he broke his arm falling out of a tree." "That's right." Ryan snapped his fingers. "You were the nurse who convinced him the cast could be whatever color he wanted, and suddenly getting a broken arm was cool instead of scary. He chose purple with green zigzags," Claire remembered, smiling. "Said it looked like dinosaur skin. I thought about him when I heard about the paleontologist dream." "He still talks about you," Ryan said. "The nice nurse who made his cast awesome. He's going to be thrilled when I tell him I had dinner with you. Their food arrived, and they ate while talking about their work, their families, the unexpected ways life had shaped them." Ryan was a contractor, specializing in home renovations. He liked taking something broken or outdated and making it beautiful and functional again. "Kind of like what you do with people," he observed, "taking something hurt or sick and helping it heal." "I never thought of it that way," Claire said, "but I suppose you're right." "How long have you been a nurse?" Ryan asked. 15 years. Since I was 23. I always wanted to help people, even as a kid. Used to bandage up my stuffed animals and give them imaginary medicine." She smiled at the memory. "My parents thought I'd be a doctor, but I liked the hands-on care part better. Being with patients, talking to them, seeing them through the scary parts. That's where I belong." "Do you work ER all the time?" "Mostly. I did pediatrics for a few years, then moved to ER about 7 years ago. It's intense, but I love it. Every day is different. You never know what's going to come through those doors. Like babies being born in parking lots," Ryan said with a grin. "Exactly like that." Claire laughed. "Although I could do without the multi-car accidents. Those are always rough, I can imagine." Ryan's expression turned serious. "That must take a toll, seeing people at their worst moments, dealing with trauma and pain every day." "It does," Claire admitted. "Some days I come home and just cry. Some days I'm so angry. At the universe, for letting bad things happen to good people. But then I have a day where I help save someone's life, or I hold a scared patient's hand and see them relax, or I bring a baby into the world in a parking lot, and I remember why I do this." "You're remarkable," Ryan said simply. Claire felt her cheeks warm. "I'm just doing my job." "No, you're doing it with heart. That's different." Ryan paused. "Can I tell you something? I was nervous about tonight, really nervous. It's been a year since I've been on a date. I kept thinking I'd say something stupid, or you'd take one look at me and wish you were anywhere else, or we'd have nothing to talk about and it would just be awkward silence. Really, you seem so calm. I'm good at faking calm. Comes from dealing with anxious clients who are spending lots of money on renovations. He smiled. But the truth is, I was terrified. And then you walked in wearing scrubs, apologizing for being late, looking exhausted but still here, still showing up. And I thought, this is someone real, someone genuine, someone who doesn't have time for games or pretense because she's too busy doing important work. I almost didn't come, Claire confessed. I stood in the hospital parking lot for 10 minutes debating whether to just text you and cancel. I thought, what single dad wants to date a nurse who can't even show up on time for a first date? Who comes straight from work looking like this? But Hannah's been after me for months to get back out there, and I promised her I'd try, so... She shrugged. Here I am. I'm glad you came, Ryan said, really glad. They talked for another hour, through dinner and into dessert, a chocolate mousse they shared because Claire was too full but wanted just a taste. She told him about her tiny apartment with the plants she kept forgetting to water. He told her about Tyler's obsession with collecting rocks and his bedroom that looked like a geology museum. She learned that Ryan's father had been a contractor too, that he'd learned the trade working summers with his dad as a teenager. He learned that Claire had a younger brother in the military, stationed overseas, and that she worried about him constantly. I get that, Ryan said, the constant worry. I worry about Tyler every time he climbs a tree or rides his bike too fast. I know I can't protect him from everything, but that doesn't stop me from wanting to. That's what makes you a good parent, Claire said. The caring, even when you know you can't control everything. Do you want kids? Ryan asked, then immediately looked apologetic. Sorry, that's probably too heavy for a first date. No, it's okay. I do want kids. Or I did. I'm 38 now, so the window is closing, but... She hesitated. My ex didn't want them. Said we were too busy with our careers, that it wouldn't be fair to bring a child into our chaotic schedules. Looking back, I think he just didn't want them with me. He has 2 kids with his new wife now. I'm sorry, Ryan said quietly. It's okay. I mean, it hurt at the time. It still hurts sometimes. But I've got nieces and nephews I adore, and I get to help babies into the world at work, and maybe that's enough. Or maybe it's not. I'm still figuring that out. For what it's worth, Ryan said carefully, I think you'd be an amazing mother. Anyone who spends their days caring for strangers with that much dedication would be incredible with their own child. Claire felt tears threaten again. She was too tired for this conversation, too emotionally raw, but it also felt right somehow, sitting across from this kind man who saw her, really saw her, even covered in the exhaustion and mess of her day. Thank you, she managed. That means more than you know. When the check came, Ryan insisted on paying. You saved lives today. The least I can do is buy you dinner. I don't know if I saved any lives, Claire protested. I just did my job. Just your job, Ryan repeated. Claire, you helped bring a baby safely into the world, treated accident victims, dealt with a heart attack, handled a kid with a broken bone, and probably a dozen other things you haven't even mentioned. And you still showed up here, exhausted and apologetic, to give this date a chance. That's not just a job, that's a calling. They walked out to the parking lot together. The night air was cool and fresh, a relief after the stuffy restaurant. Claire felt pleasantly full, more relaxed than she'd been in weeks. Thank you for understanding about the uniform, she said. About everything, really. This was much better than I expected. What were you expecting? Ryan asked with amusement. Honestly, disaster. Awkward conversation, disappointed looks, maybe a polite excuse about needing to get home early. She smiled. This was much better than that. Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm going to have to disappoint you now, Ryan said seriously. Claire's heart sank. Here it came, the polite brush-off. I have to tell you, Ryan continued, that I'd really like to see you again, and I know your schedule is crazy, and you have emergencies and unexpected late shifts, and sometimes babies are born in parking lots. But I'd like to figure out how to make this work, if you're interested. Relief and happiness flooded through Claire. I'm interested. Very interested. Good. Ryan's smile was warm and genuine. Can I call you tomorrow? Maybe we can figure out when you have a day off and plan something? I have Sunday off this week. No emergencies, no on-call, nothing. Sunday's perfect. Tyler usually spends Sunday afternoons with my mom. Maybe we could do lunch? Somewhere casual where scrubs are totally acceptable attire just in case. Claire laughed. I promise to wear real clothes this time. Don't make promises you might not be able to keep, Ryan said, his eyes twinkling. I'm starting to find scrubs pretty attractive. They exchanged a goodnight hug, brief but warm, and Claire drove home with a smile on her face. She texted Hannah as soon as she got in the door, "You were right. He's wonderful. Thank you." Hannah's response came immediately. "I knew IT. Tell me everything." "Tomorrow," Claire wrote back. "Too tired tonight. But thank you for not giving up on me. Never giving up on you, sis. You deserve someone who sees how amazing you are. Glad Ryan is smart enough to figure it out." Claire fell asleep that night thinking about Ryan's kind eyes, his understanding smile, the way he'd made her feel seen and valued even at her most exhausted and disheveled. Maybe, just maybe, there were men out there who could handle dating a nurse. Men who understood that caring for others wasn't a flaw but a strength. Men who saw her scrubs not as an excuse, but as evidence of a life spent in service. Sunday came, bright and clear. Claire wore jeans and a soft blue sweater, took extra time with her hair and makeup. She felt almost nervous, more nervous than she'd been that first night, because now there was something to lose. Ryan picked her up at noon, and they drove to a small cafe by the river. They ordered sandwiches and sat outside, watching boats drift past on the water. "I told Tyler about you," Ryan said, "about having dinner with the cool nurse who made his cast awesome. He's very excited, wants to know if you can come over sometime and look at his rock collection." "I'd love to," Claire said, and meant it. "Fair warning, though, I know nothing about rocks. I might not be very impressive. You don't have to be impressive, you just have to be interested." Tyler can tell the difference. They talked about their weeks. Claire's relatively calm few shifts at the hospital, Ryan's project renovating a historic house downtown. They talked about movies they liked, books they'd read, places they wanted to travel. "I've always wanted to go to Italy," Claire said. "See the art, eat the food, walk through ancient streets. But I've never had anyone to go with, and I'm too chicken to travel alone." "Maybe someday you will," Ryan said. "Have someone to go with, I mean." There was something in his tone, something hopeful and tentative, that made Claire's heart beat faster. "Maybe," she agreed softly. Over the next few months they fell into a rhythm. Dinner when Claire's schedule allowed, coffee before her early shifts. Weekend outings with Tyler, who took to Claire immediately and demanded she come to his school science fair to see his project on sedimentary rocks. Claire met Ryan's family, his mother who was warm and welcoming, his sister Beth who hugged her and said, "I'm so glad my brother finally found someone who understands real life." Ryan met Claire's sister and her family, her parents who lived 2 hours away and drove in specifically to meet this contractor Hannah won't stop talking about. It wasn't always easy. Claire had emergency shifts that ruined plans. There were times when she came to Ryan's house after work so exhausted she fell asleep on his couch while Tyler did homework. There were moments when she questioned whether it was fair to ask someone to adapt their life to her chaotic schedule. But Ryan never complained. He learned to cook meals that could be reheated when she came home late. He showed up at the hospital with coffee during her night shifts. He told Tyler that Claire's work was important, that saving lives sometimes meant missing movie nights, and that loving someone meant being flexible. 6 months after their first date, Ryan and Tyler surprised her after a long shift. They were waiting in the hospital parking lot, the same parking lot where a baby had been born the night Claire first met Ryan. "What are you two doing here?" Claire asked, surprised and touched. "We brought you dinner," Tyler announced proudly, holding up a paper bag. "Dad made your favorite pasta." "And we brought something else," Ryan said. He handed her a small box. Inside was a key on a simple keychain. Claire looked up, confused. "It's a key to our house," Ryan explained. "So you can come and go as you need, so you always have a place to land, no matter what time your shift ends. So you know that you're part of our family now, scrubs and all." Claire felt tears stream down her face. "Ryan." "I love you," he said simply. "I love that you save lives. I love that you show up even when you're exhausted. I love that you wear your scrubs because helping people is more important than looking perfect. I love that Tyler adores you. I love who you are, exactly, as you are." "I love you too," Claire whispered. "Both of you." Tyler hugged her around the waist. "Does this mean you can come to my birthday party next month? It's a dinosaur theme." "I wouldn't miss it," Claire promised. They sat in Ryan's truck eating pasta in the hospital parking lot as the sun set. It wasn't romantic in the traditional sense. Claire was in her scrubs, her hair messy, exhausted from a 12-hour shift. But it was perfect, because sometimes love isn't about fancy dates or perfect appearances. Sometimes it's about someone showing up in a parking lot with dinner because they know you've had a long day. Sometimes it's about understanding that the uniform isn't an apology, it's a badge of honor. Sometimes it's about finding someone who loves you not despite your calling, but because of it. And as Claire sat between Ryan and Tyler, eating lukewarm pasta and laughing at Tyler's terrible dinosaur jokes, she realized this was exactly where she was meant to be, wearing scrubs and all.